Alrighty, so all the action for this rare Friday night slate in MLS is in the books, and as much as it's great to see that we have a lot of MLS games that's happening on Friday, I mean, I don't remember last time we have this many Friday game in MLS, but certainly there's been a lot of criticism, the fact that, there's been this many Friday games, especially with the way that we're just 2 days off of the MLS All-Star game, and you kind of saw that in some of these games, especially those players that play in the MLS All-Star game, that they just look really sluggish in this one. And even though those players that only play like 30 minutes in the game, when you only have 2 days to prepare and have to go 90 in a span of 2 days, I don't care if you just play 30 minutes or you even have to travel to Austin for it. Yeah, it's no surprise that some of these players look really sluggish, and that also means that there were definitely a lot of surprises. I mean, some really surprising result. The road team definitely owns tonight with 4 of the 5 games tonight were actually wins by the road team. And you notice I say 4 of 5 and not 4 of 6. What happened to one of the game that actually that actually was supposed to happen, and what happened to this block right here? Well, this was supposed to be the block where I talked about the Houston Dynamo versus the LA Galaxy. And that game pretty much was dragged on for a long time when it comes to being in a delay. I mean, I was thinking that are we gonna get some MLS After Dark kind of craziness where this game is gonna start in the latest I've ever seen an MLS game happen. Turns out that of course was not the case. They try everything in terms of trying to get the pitch uh, to be not waterlogged. I mean, I kept updating the Twitter play page, and I even look at Glenn Davis, one of the radio broadcast play-by-play for the Houston Dynamo, as he also gave some update in terms of the field condition. And yeah, the field condition was absolutely unplayable. The ball wasn't even moving whatsoever, and it just kind of got to a point where they just had no choice. They had to postpone that game. So yeah, obviously sucks for those fans that of course stuck out there. To be fair, the Dynamo player did come out and at least give applause to those fans that is in the stands. So at least that's kind of a consolation prize in that. But yeah, it's got to feel for those fans that actually sticked out, pretty much hoping that the game eventually was kicked off. But ultimately, again, they made the right decision. There was no way that they were going to play in that water log pitch, and finally called it a couple of minutes after the last two games and these late West Coast game was going to finish. Had that game actually happened, this wouldn't have been included in my review. I would have not be staying up until 12:30 in the morning to do a review. I'll stay up for the game, but just staying up and do a review after that, no thanks. I'm gonna basically do it until tomorrow. Anyway, let us begin because I spent 3 minutes too long doing some rambling in terms. So what happened in tonight's action? Let's begin with the first one, which is New England versus Montreal. So this is pretty much the battle of the mids in terms of both teams. That yeah, it doesn't seem like neither of these teams is gonna make the playoffs. But Montreal is definitely trying their best to maybe play a little bit of a spoiler role. Although again, it's not really a spoiler role considering New England is heading to the wrong direction, and it feels like right now the Eastern Conference playoff race it's just gonna be a battle between whether or not if Chicago can keep themselves in it. It feels like pretty much we only have like one spot up for grabs because when you look at the teams below 10 plays, yeah, those teams are not only they are not are just booty cheeks right now, but also they're probably done in terms of their season. And this resort, I would not be surprised if this might be finally the resort where New England might pull the plug on Caleb Porter coaching career with this team. Though it didn't start off badly for New England. In fact, it started promising as 3 minutes into this game on the game's first shot, Shunkline would score from heel and Polster to give New England a 1-0 lead. It was a vintage world-class pass there from Carlos Hill. Just kind of shows you that he still has that ability, despite the fact that, you can kind of see that this season he hasn't shown a lot that because he is started to catching up there in age, but he still can do those kind of moment. And just like that, New England were up 1-0. Campana looked for another, but he missed wide there. And I thought New England was on the front foot. It looked like early on they were gonna dominate this game and probably get a must needed win. However, in the ninth minute of this game, Prince Owusu would score from Barget to make it 1-1 in this one. Owusu wasn't actually supposed to be in the starting 11 in this one. It was supposed to be Veroni playing against his former team in this one, but Veroni got scratched late in the pregame warm up, so Wusu was there instead. And yeah, it's safe to say that decision by Donadell paid off because yeah, the game was tied up at one apiece, also completely against the run of play because that was really the first time that Montreal actually go on the attack, and who knows? Actually, it was effective with them scoring a goal. Clark would then look for another, but he hits it right to Ivicic before he had to deny Sealy from close range, and just like that, the momentum all with Montreal in the blink of it. And we talk about goals can change everything. It definitely changed in this one because New England, they still feel like they were rattled. They still don't know what hit them with them being so dominant in the first 9 minutes and then them giving up a goal, and now they can't get that momentum back. Owusu would then hits it wide from close before Campana would put it wide after a bad giveaway from Montreal. The shots were 4-free for New England in up to this point. Campana just missed a free header from close. As I thought the momentum was back with New England now, looking to try to get the lead back. Sean Kalai would then head it wide from close in the 33rd minute. But then in the 36th minute, just like what we saw when Montreal scored the first goal against the runner play, they did the same thing with the second goal as well to take the lead. As Dante Sealy would score from Clark and Lettieri to make it 2-1 in favor of Montreal. New England, they just look completely exposed at the back. I mean, when it comes to their defensive reinforcement, which has been really solid this season, but these last couple of games, it just have not been in it. And in this game, and not only it was not in it, it pretty much just didn't show up whatsoever because they would just keep turning the ball over cheaply, giving up way too much space for this Montreal team to exploit. And while I know this is a Montreal team that, they have had their struggle in front of goal as well, yeah, when you give a team that much space, even the teams that struggle to score goals is going to probably put the ball into the back of the net. And credit Montreal, they took advantage of those defensive mistakes that New England has, and now they have a 2-1 lead heading into halftime. Campana did try to tie it late in the first half, but he hits it wide from close range. But we do head to halftime with Montreal leading 2-1. In the second half, Langoni would hit it right to see Wasp before he denied Sean Kalai of a shot that took a wicked deflection there. What a save that was from C. Wasp because the fact that he had to readjust himself to try to make that save, I don't know how he was able to do that. New England definitely were pressing for the opener again. Langoni would then have a shot that was deflected high before Sealy, which puts one into the stands. As I thought Montreal might have survived the original pressure that New England have put early on. Now they were looking to try to get the third. Sealy tried to do so, but it was tipped over the bar there. And really, as the time winds down, New England continue to try to press for the equalizer. They desperately need this 3 points. I mean, it's not just the equalizer, but they need this win because when you have your playoff hope kind of on light support right now, as we've seen with New England and them going through just a complete playing a nosedive right now. They need to win this game, especially at home. Sean Kalai would then puts it wide from long range before he had a shot that was clear off the line in the 83rd minute. Yeah, when I saw that, I kind of had a feeling, yeah, it's not going to be New England night, isn't it? Again, this has been the problem for New England in the last couple of games. It's not because of lack of trying in terms of them scoring goals. It's because their finishing has been just absolutely horrendous in these last couple of games. Ruti would then had a shot that actually took a wicked deflection and goes out for a corner. And if that one went in, Siwas was beat because unlike Siwas was able to get to that wicked deflection early in the second half, he was pretty much completely flat footed there, and that would have been 2-2 if that one was on target. But all hands was on deck for Montreal. New England throwing the kitchen sink to try to get the equalizer. Shankalai will then head it wide from close range, and then Owusu had a chance to kill the game off, but the post denied him there from long range. But in the fifth minute of stoppage time, Oleg Escobar would kill this game off against his former team as well as he scored from Petrasso to give Montreal a 3-1 lead as his first career MLS goal against his former team. He never really made an appearance with New England. He was part of the homegrown system. So yeah, definitely a great moment for the youngster scoring against the team. And certainly, I mean, I know you would assume that he wasn't going to celebrate, but I guess he'd probably celebrate because that was that was his first career MLS goal. And not to mention, I'm pretty sure he's definitely holds a little bit of a grudge to the fact that New England really didn't give him the fair chance to really make an impact for the team when he was with their academy. But nevertheless, for Montreal, it's only the fourth win that they have this season, but they now have got 3 wins so far this season on the road. It's kind of stunning the fact that 3 of the 4 wins that they have this season has been on the road. This has always not been a great road team, but hey, I mean they'll absolutely take this as well. And now they're actually above the wooden spoon spot. The Galaxy actually now has the spot in terms of winning the wooden spoon. Although I think the Galaxy will have at least a game or two in hand to avoid that spot, especially with the way that they didn't play tonight because of the postponement we saw in Houston. But the shots in this one, 17 shots with 11 that Montreal has, 5 shots on goal for the 3 that New England had, 6 shots off target for the 2 that Montreal has, 3 shots on blocked for the 8 that New England has, and possession-wise, 60% possession compared to 40% possession that Montreal has in this one. And I'm pretty sure Revs fans are begging this front office to announce the firing of Caleb Porter because yeah, this nosedive that we've seen with this team. I mean, you got to say they got to do it. Like this is something that I understand that New England might still have that belief that Caleb Porter might be the guy, and especially Caleb Porter might say that well on paper they haven't really been playing badly and they've been unlucky in terms of the finishing. Well, yeah, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're unlucky in terms of finishing, and it also doesn't matter the fact that if Caleb Porter mentioned that they're out gaining their opponent in terms of their XG. The matter is that if you're not getting resort, and I mentioned before, this is a resort league. If you're not getting the resort, even if you're playing well in terms of you because of bad luck finishing, it doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, this is a team that is sinking to a point where I think they're done in terms of any playoff chances. I mean, I know they're still single digit in terms of behind the last playoff spot, but with the nosedive that they're going through, I don't think they're gonna come anywhere close if this continues, especially if Caleb Porter is still the head coach of this team. Now, moving on in terms of the next match. So this one was kind of weird because while on paper it definitely looked like it was a crazy game because it was a 7 goal thriller, it was kind of a game where there was time where at one part of the game it was a fireworks show when it comes to the goal scoring, and then there's part of the game where it was kind of a bit of a lull. So yeah, it's almost feels like defending in this game was very inconsistent. There was time where defense was not a thing in this game, and then there's times where defense was actually a thing in this one. But still, in the end, it was a fireworks show that we saw in this one. Dallas have played in their fair amount of these kind of games, but unfortunately, in the end, NYCFC is able to get the big win. I gotta also make sure I don't think NYCFC won their last game, so I think they still have not won back-to-back games in so far this season. I mean, this is the ultimate inconsistent team so far this season when it comes to the pattern that they fall. But one thing I will also say is this is a rare road win for them as well. Now, in the first half, 1 minute in, Musa had a shot that was clear off the line just 45 seconds into this one before in the 11th minute. Johnny Shore would score his first career MLS goal from Morales to make it 1-0 in favor of NYCFC. It was also the first shot for NYCFC as well. Just not great set piece defending there from Dallas, leading Shore wide open there in the front post. But that lead would be short lived because in the 15th minute, Pedro Musa would score for Delgado and Romero to make it 1-1 in this one. Not long after, Barrington would score from Romero to make it 2-1 in favor of Dallas. And before I get a chance to say, well, this game has completely turned 180, NYCFC gets the equalizer as Alonso Martinez would score from Morales to tie the game up at 2 apiece. What is defending? Because in the last 12 minutes in this one, there was no defending that was being found in this one. And get used to it because we kind of saw a little bit of that in the second half as well. Bubakar would then heads it right to freeze, and really after a fireworks start to this game, things did kind of start tightening up, and defense seems like was finally found in this one. But right as we head to the end of halftime, just as we thought we were going to head to halftime 2-2, Logan Farrington would score his second goal of the game to make it 3-2 in favor of Dallas, and yeah, this was not a great moment for Matt Freese. I mean, Matt Freese, for the most part, has been very solid this season. I think this is probably one of his worst game and a game that won't make U.S. men's national team fans happy if they're already not happy in terms of what happened in the Gold Cup. But here he just gave up a softie here, a juicy rebound right into the path of Farrington, and Farrington punished him for that mistake. And just like that, Dallas has the lead heading into the second half. But that lead would be quickly short-lived. In fact, literally 30 seconds into the second half, Alonso Martinez would score his second with a goal. So that made it free from Wolf to tie the game up at 1 apiece. Once again, defending was kind of option. It feels like defense pretty much showed up late in this one. Both of these teams was going quickly. It felt like I was watching El Tráfico at times with the way that he was so end to end and in the beginning of the second half. Now, as I said, despite the fact that there's times where this game things were very open, it did eventually tighten up, and then we kind of go for a period where not much things happen. I mean, I feel like this is one of the rarest game I've seen where on the scoreline you think that there's a lot of fireworks, but there's times where if you actually watch this game, there were periods where it was kind of a bit of a lull. It just feels like both team was just so clinical in this one. That's kind of the reason why the goal scoring was so high in this one. Morales would then puts it high from long range before O2 had a little cross shot that actually hit off the post and onto the roof of the net. They actually gave that as a goal kick as well, even though it should have been a corner. I mean, that one was actually tipped over by Paz, but the call says it's a goal kick, so obviously it's not going to give credit for Paz in terms of making a save. Musso would then miss a header as the flag went up. Yeah, he's probably fortunate the flag went up there because that was not a great miss for Pedro Musa. For a guy that has been this red hot this season, you would expect him to bury it. But nevertheless, in the 84th minute, NYCFC takes the lead for the second time tonight as Alonso Martinez would complete his hat trick from Makara and O'Neal to make it 4-3 in favor of NYCFC. I'll tell you what, this McCur again, I do apologize if I completely butcher his name. I'll get better as the season goes along, but he looks like he's a real deal. He's already made some great impression for NYCFC, and he's kind of the guy that they desperately needed, especially the fact that I think Santi Rodriguez is still injured for this NYCFC team as well. Musa did look to response, but he had a shot that was deflected wide before Market would look for his first of his career in MLS. But it was deflected right to Paz. Martinez would then look for his fourth goal, but he also hits it right to Paz. But yeah, in the end, NYCFC, what a win this was. A rare win in this one after just kind of a bit of a wild night that we saw in Frisco in this one. The shots in this one, 9 shots for both of these teams. Again, it was kind of weird because the way that you would think that there would be more shots, but it was just kind of one of those games where both teams was just so clinical that there wasn't really a lot of shot, even though there was a 7 goal thriller. In fact, pretty much in that 7 goal thriller, we only had 11 goals that was shot on goal. So basically, seven of the shots on goal actually went in out of the 11 combined for both of these teams. That just shows you that this is one of those games where both teams were being very clinical, and also one of those games where defense and goalkeeping wasn't at its best. Free shots off target for the one that NYCFC had. Free shots that was blocked for the none that FC Dallas had, and possession-wise, 57% possession compared to 43% possession that Dallas has in this game. And for Dallas, this is definitely a bit of a blow when it comes to their playoff chances, especially facing against an NYCFC team that really struggle on the road, and the fact that they had the lead twice in this one and couldn't keep it hold down. As I mentioned before, the defense is become a huge liability for this Dallas team. I mean, this season you can see how bad this defense is, and it was a problem last season as well. And as much as I know Peter Quill does like to play a more attacking style of plays at times, well, unfortunately, I just think that this Dallas team just does not have that defensive structure to play that attacking style that Peter Quill has. I mean, they can score goals. There's no doubt that that is the case, but they just cannot keep it out of their back of the net more times or not. And these are kind of the resort that we've seen this season with Peter Quill team, where they have played some very entertaining games, which will entertain the neutral, but it will definitely not entertain Dallas fans because more times than not in some of these high scoring games, they haven't been on the right end of the 3 points, and that's kind of reason why they're where they are in the standings and are still looking on the outside in for the playoffs. But moving on in the next game, and the last game on this board is Columbus and Orlando. So for the first time this season, Columbus have lost a home game at Lower.com Field. Coming into this one, they were still unbeaten. And yes, I know they technically have lost one game at home, but that game was against Inter Miami, and that was in Cleveland. So yeah, obviously that doesn't count. But I thought Columbus was going to do something similar to what the Galaxy did last season, where they pretty much finished the season unbeaten at the Health Sports Park, and that one loss was at the Rose Bowl against LAFC and El Trafico, but it was not meant to be because Orlando City, this is definitely a shocker. I mean, I gotta say, I definitely did not see this coming with Orlando City. I know they mentioned that they're very good on the road, and they do have a good road record, but with the way that Orlando City has just been so inconsistent and are kind of heading the wrong direction heading into this one, I did not expect them to come into Lower.com Field to get 3 points, and I especially did not expect it the fact that they absolutely got outplayed in the first half, and that once Columbus had that 1-0 lead, I thought that was over. I didn't think Orlando would had anything left to try to come back into this one. But like I said, this is one of those match week where weird things can happen, and that again, this is also a Friday night action where the biggest surprises definitely happen this season, and this is definitely one of the bigger ones. Now, this game, of course, was also delayed because of lightning, but thankfully, unlike the Houston versus Galaxy game, this game did start an hour late, and even with the way that it's delayed an hour late, it was still a very good crowd at Lower Dock field. Rossi would then hits it wide after just 10 seconds into this one before Galese denied Rossi from close range. Columbus was definitely on the front foot as they were pressing for the opener. Orlando was definitely having a tough time trying to play out of the Columbus press. And I get that they like to try to bunker in and try to hit on the counterattack. Very Oscar Pereira kind of level of soccer that I've seen him with Orlando City, but they just couldn't do anything going for it. They were just getting absolutely pinned deep. And it was just wave after wave of pressure that Columbus was putting on them. Russell Rowe would then puts it wide from close before Gastag would miss wide as the flag went up. Schulte would then deny Montreal as that was a rare opportunity for Orlando. In fact, that was the first shot for Orlando in the 21st minute before Russell Rowe just missed one wide from close range, and Columbus was definitely pounding on the door. You just kind of had a sense it's a matter of time before they get that opening goal. Galese would deny Russell Rowe from close range. The shots were 8-1 for Columbus 28 minutes in. Though the second shot for Orlando saw Schulte deny uh, Paslic, but he did give up a rebound there, and he's very fortunate that the flag came up there, so there was no rebound for Orlando City. And this is where, as much as Columbus kind of dominate in the first half, they got to be careful because there's been a couple of times they did left the door open for Orlando City to score against the run of play. Arvston would then curls it wide from the curler before Chambos would hit it right to Galese after Orlando with a bad turnover there. Ojeda would then cross it high from long range in the 44th minute, and despite the fact that Columbus absolutely outshot Orlando City in this one, I think they outshot Orlando like 10-3 in the first half. It's still 0-0 heading into the second half because of the lack of finishing that Columbus have shown. Rossi would try to change that coming out of the break, but he puts it wide from long range before Russell Rowe would hit it right to Galese as the crew kind of picked up where they left off and try to press for the opener. But one thing I've also noticed is that as the second half go, Orlando started to get a little bit more possession and started to have a little bit more attacking display in the second half compared to what we saw in the first. Because in pretty much in the entire first half, they were just getting pinned back, and you just kind of had a sense maybe this is Oscar Pereira saying to his team that yeah, we might need to think about actually pushing our lines a little higher because they can't just sit deep like this and expect to maybe get a lucky counterattack or get a nil-nil draw. Well, turns out that strategy didn't work, at least up to this point, because the penalty was given to Columbus. They did go to VAR to see whether or not if Paslic handballed that one in the box. Yeah. I mean, I didn't even need to wait for VAR to finish. That was a clear handball there. So here comes Diego Rossi, a chance to bury the penalty to give Columbus the lead, and he does exactly that. So it's 1-0 in favor of Columbus. There was a shout for a penalty for Orlando not given. They actually did check to see whether or not if Angulo was brought down by Moreira, but VAR says no. But yeah, up to this point, you're thinking, well, this game is done. Columbus usually able to seize out game, even if it's just going to be one nothing. However, in the 76th minute, Enrique would score from Angulo and Ojeda to make it 1-1 in this one. The Enrique sub absolutely changed this game. I mean, he when he came in to this one, he was a huge difference maker for this Orlando City side, but also a huge player when it comes to just completely breaking down this Columbus defense. That this is one of the rare times we see them just kind of self destruct late in the game. Schulte would then deny Ojeda from close range. The momentum just like that is all with Orlando as they were now pushed to try to get the lead. And they do because in the 79th minute, same combination. Enrique scoring from Angulo and Ojeda to make it 2-1 in this one. And the 20,000 inside lower.com field, which was bouncing about 13 minutes ago after their team led 1-0, they're stunned silence. I mean, that was probably the one of the most quiet as I've seen lower.com field is because, yeah, this is something you just don't see Columbus does. Giving up two quick goals in quick succession and just kind of have a bit of a meltdown in the defense part. LU did look to response, but he hits it right to Galese. Orlando continued to just sit in an extreme deep block and try to see this game out. LU would then had a shot that was deflected high, but then the 6 minute stoppage time, Ojeda turns the lights out in this one as he scored from Freeman to make it 3-1 in this one. Rossi then had a shot that was deflected and goes right to Galese. But yeah, in the end, Orlando City, who saw this one coming with them walking in to lower.com field and hand Columbus their first loss this season at home. And the stats kind of just proved that Columbus was the better team in this one, at least for the first 75 minutes. They outshot Orlando 18 shots compared to the 10 that Orlando City had, 6 shots on goal for the 7 that Columbus had, 6 shots off target for the 2 that Orlando City has, 2 shots that was blocked for the 4 that Columbus had, and possession wise, 61% possession compared to 39% possession that Orlando City has in this one. But like I said, you got to give kudos to Orlando City. I mean, it's been a difficult period for Oscar Pereira and his side, and there's no doubt that he's been getting a lot of stick from the fans lately. But yeah, coming into this game, able to go on the road and being down in this one and still have that mentitude to come back to get the win. Maybe this might be the beginning of Orlando City go on a good run. We saw this the last 2 seasons where they usually get hot around this time of the season and they go on a good run, and maybe this win will be a way to springboard and maybe also a win that kind of sends the message to the rest of the league that the Eastern Conference, I always talk about the East being a bloodbath, and I feel like it's going to be the same case again. I feel like when you look at all the teams that is in the East between one all the way down to seven, feels like any of those teams can beat each other on any given day, and it just feels like whoever is going to get to the final is probably going to have a chance to win it. Now, obviously, it wasn't the case last season because the East, it feels like a huge nuke just dropped in the Eastern Conference with all the upsets that were happening, but still there's no doubt that the Eastern Conference is going to be tough again in the playoffs. And for Columbus, I mean, this feels like it's kind of a wake up call that yes, I do still think Columbus is one of the team to beat, and there's no doubt that this result still doesn't change my mind in terms of this is a team that is still going to be there in terms of making a deep run. But I feel like it is also kind of a wake up call that they cannot have these kind of resort in the playoffs. They rarely have these kind of resort this season, but in the day of age in the playoffs, if you go through a game where you had to be you decide to suck when you can't suck, then that could be a problem, and that's something that Columbus fans are hoping that that's not the case. They rather I would say if they do face Orlando again in the playoffs, they rather them lose this one than it is in the playoffs as well, because yeah, this was a game where Columbus just looked off, especially in the finishing department, and they pay the price in the second half as a result. But that being said, I am now going to switch board and look at the last 2 games to finish up this review of these Friday night action of match week number 27. So moving on to another game that I definitely did not see coming, and a team that kind of was on a bit of a downward return, but finally end their winless run with a big victory on the road. Is the Portland Timbers handing LAFC a rare loss at BMO Stadium? Well, I say it's a rare loss, but LAFC has actually started to lose a little bit more games than they usually do at home. I think this is already the third or the fourth loss that they have. I mean, I know they lost to Austin. They also lost to Vancouver as well. I think there was one more team that they lost at home, if I'm not mistaken, or I might be mistaken. I think this might be the third time that they've lost this season at home. And again, for a team that BMO Stadium is probably one, if not the toughest place to get free points, it's kind of uncharacteristic that we see now AFC dropping points, and especially this is back to back games that they aren't able to get all 3 points at home. And really, this is also kind of a performance that something was just off with LAFC in this game. You kind of saw it from the beginning where they just I know this is a team that likes to go on the transition and they try to do that, but they just never really kind of got going. Now, part of that maybe is due to the fact that some of their star player might be a little bit tired. Though I say that, but Bawanga was only the true all star for this team, and that he did look kind of still look pretty fresh, at least for part of this game as well. But for whatever reason, it just feels like this was a very flat performance by LAFC on the attack, and that you gotta give credit to the Portland Timbers. Even though this season they have some defensive issue, this is probably the best defensive display they've shown all season. Now, in the first half, the Timbers were on the front foot. LAFC was happy to sit back and defend. Moreno would hits it right to Lloris before the shots were two apiece 15 minutes in. LAFC, they have not had a lot of possession and trying to go on the break, but it hasn't really been very successful because the Timbers, they were doing a good job in terms of every time when LAFC tried to break, they were They just couldn't get it going because the Timbers were putting all the fire out. Whenever the transitional moment happened, they just immediately stopped it from happening. Bawanga would then just miss a tap in after a bad giveaway away from the Timbers. So yeah, the Timbers got away with that one. It's not very often when Bawanga miss a tap in like that. Hollinshead would then puts one into the stands as LAFC started to get some steam and look for the opening goal. There was a shout for a penalty for LAFC not given. Lloris would then deny Ajala from long range, but then in the 45th minute, Paredes would score from Smith to make it 1-0 in favor of the Portland Timbers. This is the first time that Christian Paredes have scored, I believe, since 2021 as well. It's been a long time since he have scored a goal. He hasn't really made a lot of appearances as well for the Timbers as well, but at the same time, I mean, this was just not great set piece defending for LAFC perspective, leaving Paredes with too much space in the box to heads it in, and rightfully so. LAFC was punished because of that. And the Timbers grab a 1-0 lead as we head to halftime with that score because there was no stoppage time. That was really the last kick of the first half. In the second half, LAFC continued to look those transitional moments while the Timbers have the possession. But like I said, it just have not worked out whatsoever because the Timbers were doing a good job in terms of shutting it down. Though that being said, in the 55th minute, this was probably the best chance of the game as Crapo absolutely robbed Ordaz from a point blank effort. It did fall to Holland's head, but his shot was blocked away. There was a shout for a penalty for LAFC not given. DeRozan would then curls it just wide on a curler. By the way, I'm going to be very interesting to see what they're going to do with DeRozan. Consider this maybe could be the last game that he plays. Consider his loan does expire after this game. There was no doubt that LAFC was starting to ramp up the pressure, and this is kind of where I'm thinking, well, this is now the LAFC that I've seen before, putting the intensity, trying to maybe get the equalizer. So as I said that, Mora would then puts it into the stands in the 60th minute. Yeah, Felipe Mora is absolutely snake bin. He just cannot buy a goal lately. This has been one of the worst run of form that he have had in his career with the Timbers. Lloris would then deny DaCosta from long range, and just like that, the Timbers said, not so fast, because now we're looking to try to get the second goal to kill this game off. Smolyakov would then hits it right to Crepeau, and really as the time winds down, LAFC continue to push for the equalizer, but you just kind of had a sense they weren't really creating some dangerous chances. The Timbers, for the most part, even though they were trying to hold firm, they were doing a good job in terms of defensively in this one. Though that being said, in the 78th minute, Crepeau would deny Nielsen on a bicycle kick as he was tipped onto that post. I mean, that would have been an incredible goal, not just for LAFC, but certainly for the youngster Nielsen as well. I mean, that would have been his first career MLS goal. That probably would have been the best first career MLS goal that I've ever seen in my time covering MLS on this channel. But in the 79th minute, Martinez would put it into the 3-2-5-2. Speaking of another guy that just cannot buy a goal, David Martinez just cannot buy a goal with LAFC right now. He's been in a long goal drought this season. Smith then looked to slam the door, but he puts it high in the 87th minute. But in the end, the Portland Timbers, you wouldn't have guessed it that this team had defensive issue this year and also are on a bit of a winless run, but they snapped their winless run and go to BMO Stadium to get all 3 points in this one. And when you look at the shots in this one, it's not like LAFC was absolutely just dominating this one, and the Timbers kind of hold on to it. They only had 12 shots in this one compared to 8 that the Timbers had. Only 2 shots on goal compared to 4 that the Timbers had. And while those 2 shots were dangerous chances, especially Craig had to make some big save as well. Besides those 2 moments, they really didn't create anything going forward on the attack end. It just looked off, as I said from the beginning. When you look at this LAFC attack, 5 shots off target for the 3 that the Timbers had, 1 shot that was blocked for the 4 that LAFC had, and possession was 55% possession compared to 45% possession the Timbers has in this game. And there's also no doubt that I'm not surprised the fact that they're looking for some more attacking power. Again, there's no doubt that if they do have the likes of potentially getting Sung Hyun Min into this team, he will definitely unlock the attack a little bit, especially not have to heavily rely on Bawanga in terms of that spot. Because when you look at this season for LAFC, I mean, it's not like they have these kind of games where they just look off in some of these games, just couldn't find their finishing touches. I mean, they are still winning some of these kind of fair share amount of games, but there's also times where they drop points and drop all 3 in this case, and that yeah, this is something that they're gonna have to fix. And again, there's no doubt that if they are going to potentially get Sung Min, which would not only be big for LAFC but just big in this league as well, that can really propel this LAFC team going for it. But like I said, for the Timbers, they needed this one. I mean, this is the win that is the doctor what they or what the doctor order in this one. And now we'll see whether or not they can go on run because as we talk about with Phil Neville's side, usually when they do get a win, they go on a bit of a run, especially after a big win like this. So don't be surprised if maybe the Timbers might get themselves back on track and go on a bit of a running or a winning form heading into this one, which will not be a good news for the rest of the Western Conference as well. Speaking of not good news for the rest of the Western Conference, well, San Diego is still winning. I'm pretty sure some teams, especially Vancouver, trying to catch San Diego for that spot. They were hoping that this was going to be one of those chances where maybe San Diego will slip when they face against a Nashville side that they are pretty much one of the hottest teams, if not the hottest team in the league right now. But in this game, San Diego kind of shut them down in this one. Now, I also will want to mention there was a very weird situation that happened at the end of the game, and to this day, I still actually don't know if San Diego won 1-0 or 2-0 in this one, and I'll explain why that is. But in the first half, De La Torre with the game's first shot, but he had said why. Not much really happened in this game as the shots were 1-0, 15 minutes in, and for all this build up in terms of this being a battle between the first place team in the West and the second place team in the East, yeah, this was a bit of a disappointment for the most part in terms of entertainment. It was not an entertaining game for the most part. And again, maybe that has a lot to do with some of the star players on this team that just played 2 days ago in Austin. You just wonder all these players looking so sluggish coming into this game that's kind of the reason why this game was kind of just very sluggish and just very flat at times. You see players missing passes that you usually don't see them do so. Though saying that in the 28th minute, Drywood puts it wide from long range. The shots were still only 2-0 30 minutes into this one. Lozano would then puts it wide from close before Sisiaga denied Mukhtar as the flag went up for him ball there. Mukhtar kind of had a pretty quiet game in this one. The same goes for Suric as well. Didn't really have too much impact in this one as well. But at the same time, I also thought that was probably the best chance. Up to this point, it was just a very boring first half. But we do head to halftime, unsurprisingly scoreless between both of these teams. In the second half, a little bit more entertainment. Lozano was struck the post in the near post as San Diego continued to dominate possession. But I still feel like even with that moment, they weren't finding a lot of way to successfully break down this low block Nashville defense. I take that back because in the 53rd minute, literally as I wrote that, Chucky Lozano would score. So he scored from Dwyer and Verskov to make it 1-0 in favor of San Diego. So that's kind of an all-star level goal as for all three of those players were in that all-star game in Austin just 2 days ago. And like I said, San Diego, they probably saw what I wrote and they took it personally because now they found the breakthrough, and just like that, it's 1-0 in favor of the host. Suric did look to answer, but he was denied by Sisiaga before he denied Mukhtar from long range in the 61st minute. As Nashville started to open things up, you kind of had a sense they had to do it now that they are trying to get themselves the equalizer. This game kind of feels a little bit Gary Smith for me for Nashville SC in terms of the way that they approach, and that might not be great news if you're a Nashville fan because with the way that BJ Callahan has always been the team that likes to have possession, which I guess maybe this is kind of the reason why they didn't do well in this one. Which again, it's kind of weird to say that even with BJ Callahan in mind, where now that they actually look more comfortable when they have possession than when they don't have possession, when this is kind of the complete opposite of what we see with Gary Smith. But even then, like I said, this feels like it's a very Gary Smith game where they was just trying to nick a point out of this one, but because of that, they're sacrificed a lot on the attacking end because of how deep that they sit throughout in this one. And not to mention San Diego, they did their usual thing of dominating possession and working team to death, eventually finding an open space. Palacio would then puts it wide from close in the 80th minute. There was a shout for a penalty for Nashville not given. Willis then tipped Bombino shot over it, but then a penalty was given to San Diego as Yazbek brought down Valakari in the box. So here comes Andre Schreier, a chance to seal it for San Diego. But Willis says no. He denied him from the spot. It's the first time we have seen San Diego miss from the penalty spot. And to be fair, Dryer, I don't think he has been that convincing from the spot as well. Remember, there was a game where San Diego played against Minnesota where Dryer was from the spot here, and Dryer, even though he converted that penalty, it probably shouldn't happen, and Russell Spill didn't actually just absolutely spill an easy save from the spot as well. Because other than that, I don't think he has looked that comfortable from the spot. And in this moment, I mean, it wasn't really the best penalty. Willis just kind of had to guess the right way to save it, and he does exactly that. Mukhtar did try to chip Sisiega, but Sisiega does a good job to come off the line and palm down away. I gotta say, Pablo Sisiega, he is definitely making is time worthy in terms of being the goalkeeper now that CJ Dos Santos is out with injury. And now this could make it a very difficult decision for Mikey Veras. And in some way, it's a good problem for Mikey Veras to have that once Dos Santos does come back to this team. Do you stick with the hot hand Sisiega? Because Sisiega has done a really good job ever since coming in. Or you maybe go with Dos Santos, who, for the most part, he's been solid, at least for this season. There has been a couple of times where he's been a little bit off. So I guess maybe even when Dos Santos does get healthy, maybe Sisiaga is gonna take that spot away. Bunbury would then hits it right to Sisiaga. And by the way, this is not the first time we've seen that happen with goalkeeping. This feels like it's a more common thing where once the backup goalkeeper started to do well, yeah, unfortunately for the injured goalkeeper, he's probably have no shots in terms of getting his spot back. And then this is where we saw the bizarre moment. So again, I don't know to this day if this game ended 1-0 or 2-0, mainly because it looked like Dwyer basically scored an empty net here. He pretty much puts it into empty net as they go on the transitional moment. But what was kind of confusing about that is, the full time whistle was blown, but did it blown when the transition was happened, or the fact that it blown after when Dwyer hits into the empty net? Because they were still going. Like I don't think anyone heard the full time whistle. Nobody actually stopped in that moment in terms of the transition. So yeah, it was very bizarre. And right now, if I check on the league website, let me just get my phone real quick to check on the league website. I mean, last I checked, the league website says it's still 2-0 in favor of San Diego FC, and they still said that Dryer scored that empty net goal from McNair as well. Let me take a look here. Nope. Actually, they just changed it. Now it says it's a 1-0 result in favor of San Diego. Again, I did check on the San Diego Twitter page. They even said that it ended 1-0, but then they posted that it might have ended 2-0 because the league website said it. And what's also kind of interesting. Let me show you this. This is where the league website sometimes is broken. You see how it says 1-0 right here. Well, it's actually a little bit blurry. I'm not quite sure. You can see it, but they even added Anders Dreyer scoring the goal in the ninth minute. In fact, literally right here, it says that he made it 2-0 right here. And again, I apologize if you can't see it very well. So, yeah, I don't know. Honestly, what it matters is that at least at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because San Diego does get the free points. And I think this is probably the third times we have seen a situation like this where the referee blows the whistle when the other team is on a transitional moment. I can't believe it. It's been happening more times or not this season, and there's been times where when that does happen, it has created a bit of a controversial moment. And there's no doubt that deep down, I know Anders Dryers will be happy that he got an assist in this one, but deep down he would be absolutely kicking the referee, not literally, but just being very frustrated at the referee that he blew the full time whistle when that would have been his goal, and that also could be big at the end of the season as well, because especially with how tight the West is, I mean, goal difference does play a big difference. So yeah, San Diego will definitely not be very happy. Even if they get the 3 points this one, that if they just miss out by one goal, they're gonna look back at this game and feel like they got robbed terms of not getting that second goal just because the referee blew the full time whistle, despite the fact that the empty net goal was about to happen. But either way, like I said, San Diego does get the 1-0 win. The shots in this one, 9 shots for both of these teams. 3 shots on goal for the 4 that Nashville has. 1 shot off target for the 3 that San Diego has. 2 shots on block for the 3 that Nashville has. And possession-wise, 56% possession compared to the 44% possession that Nashville has in this game. But there you have it. That is pretty much it for the review of 5 of these games. Tomorrow we're going to have 9 games that's going to happen. All of them in terms of the Saturday night window as well. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys give a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.